Right, so welcome. So my newly released pattern, the plan was to publish it on Ravelry last night, but I fell asleep while I was doing that. So it got published on Ravelry and on my website this morning. Everybody who signed up for the CAL should have received a copy of it. I gifted it to everybody from Ravelry using the email address that they signed up for the CAL for. So if you didn't get it, then please do let me know. By the end of this crochet along, you will know how to crochet a simple triangle shawl using double crochet worked in rows. This easy triangle shawl pattern will enable you to take a break from stress and overthinking and utilize crochet as a therapeutic craft that helps you focus on and live in the present. For this live stream, we will be using this project as a tool to help us with a meditation on spring and new beginnings, which seemed very seasonally appropriate. If you haven't come across me before, my name's Deanne, and I am a maker, designer, and crochet teacher. I have dealt with both major and chronic depression and anxiety for a couple of decades, and I have ADHD. Like many other crocheters, I find crochet meditative and extremely therapeutic, and I'm keen to share crochet's physical and mental health benefits with as many people as possible. I've made some other videos on this topic, and I'll link to those in the description in case you're interested in checking them out. I will also have a blog post which is drafted, which I will link to in the description, which will contain links for any and all information you need for the crochet along, and also links to resources or whatever that I mentioned during this video. So it will include details about the yarn and supplies that I'm using and where I got them from and all that good stuff. Okay, so preparing. So as I just said, if you signed up for the CAL, then you will have received a free copy of the pattern. So you might want to have that in front of you and get your yarn, hook, and notions together. For the month of May 2022, you can sign up for the CAL at any time and receive the pattern for free. All the information you need to sign up, if you haven't signed up yet, will be in the blog post that I mentioned earlier. I'd like to quickly discuss how else I'd suggest you prepare. I would love if you experienced this crochet along as a way to welcome and intentionally create for yourself new beginnings. So I'd love for you to think of all the ways you can embrace the new during this crochet along. A couple of years ago, I did a spring journal, which I made from brown paper lunch bags. It was a really inexpensive project, and it was actually designed to show how you could create a visual journal without having any art skills whatsoever. So it was a mixed media journal, and I realized yesterday, actually, when I was thinking about this, that I have never made a mixed media crochet project. So if I can carve out the time, big if, I guess, then I will be working on a journal for this crochet along, which I'll share with all of you, which will incorporate not just this shawl, but other things that I crochet in the month ahead. So yeah, I think that would be quite fun. But obviously you don't have to do that. But there's loads of ways that you can embrace new things during this period. You could buy yarn from a new store, buy yarn you've never used before, or commit to learning something new, even if you're an experienced crocheter. Cultivate that beginner mindset. Try and push your comfort zone if you can. So crochet somewhere new. Crochet outside, in the park, at the playground if you've got kids, on public transit, crochet at work. Notice and record all the new things around you. So plants and trees sprouting and blossoming, maybe new books coming out that you're interested in reading. Maybe you went for a walk and took a route that's new for you, or you went for a drive or took the bus and you took a new bus route. Anything that is new, focus on it and record it and make it part of the process of creating this shawl, so that the shawl comes to represent you embracing the new, and letting go of things that no longer serve you. I would love if you shared as much as you're comfortable doing to inspire and support other participants in the crochet along. So not just pictures of your work in progress, but the yarn you buy, maybe you in a new outfit, you with a new haircut, anything you want to share that is in line with the theme of this crochet along, whether it's crochet or non-crochet. I would love to see your journey of discovery over the next month. So on Instagram, you can post with the hashtag #SimpleSpringShawlCal. And I also have a Facebook group that you're welcome to join and share in. And there'll be details of all of this in the blog post that I mentioned previously. And lastly, I would love if you try and crochet mindfully. And things that I do which act as sort of mental cues for me to stop thinking, overthinking about the world around me, and just focus on my crochet. So wearing something I've made, aiming for physical and sensory comfort, setting an intention. So an example that you could use is, my intention for my crocheting today is that I will be open to new possibilities and I have everything I need to move forward. Light a candle if you're into them. I am. And I have a new candle to light for you today. So let's start the meditative crocheting part of today's video with that. This is the candle, It's called The Fool, and it smells rather divine. Okay, all right. I'll take my glasses off. So, The Fool. I will put in the blog post that I mentioned a link to where I purchased this candle from, in case you are interested in trying it out if you're local. If you're not local, I will post a link to where you can get Shy Wolf candles online. And if you are familiar with the Fool as it's used in sort of classical literature, it's somebody who is perceived as creative, innocent, potentially mentally ill. They're often seen as beggar type figures, or like court jesters, and in the tarot, this is a major arcana card, and the Fool represents new beginnings, having faith in the future, being inexperienced, not knowing what to expect, but having beginner's luck, improvisation, and believing in the universe. So keywords for this card are beginnings, innocence, leap of faith, originality, and spontaneity. So you don't have to believe in the tarot as like a predictor of what's going to happen in your life. I just find that this is, as an archetype, it really fits in nicely with our the theme of our crochet along, which is spring and new beginnings, and the scent is excuse me, sweetgrass, dew, and gardenia. It's really delightful. It's a very light scent. It's not overpowering at all. And it's just, yeah, it's really quite lovely. So I am going to light this candle for us now. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And as I light the candle, I have some affirmations that I'm going to say. So feel free to repeat them after me. It is safe for me to let go of the past. I am grateful for all I have and all that is to come. I am allowing my blessings to come to me. I am willing to try new things. I don't need to wait for the perfect time to start something new. I can start something right now. So there we go. In terms of starting, So, oh yes, hang on one second. Right, so this is the larger version of the shawl, and I made this as a colour block version. Do I have it with me? Yes, I do. Okay, let me just grab it. Here we go. So this is it. I love it. I love how colourful and joyful it is. um, so this version of the shawl is not quite as wide, but it is deeper. And one of the possibly new things for you is how I start these double crochet rows. One of the things that can be problematic with double crochet is if you use a chain 3 to start your row, you can sometimes get holes at the beginnings of the row where the chain 3 kind of gets baggy, and there are noticeable holes in your work. There's lots and lots of different ways to resolve that problem, and comment if you would be interested in me making a video on the different ways that you can use to overcome the holes at the beginning of your double crochet rows. But I designed this shawl to eliminate that problem. So you'll see there's no holes at the beginning of the rows. I'm just showing you the straight edge now. And not only that, but the edges are just really nice and straight and even. They're not bumpy or bobbly. So I deliberately left the border off that shawl so that I could show you how clean and straight and hole-free the edges of the shawl are. You'll need a 5mm crochet hook and locking stitch markers. This is the yarn that I used for the smaller shawl, which I think I'm going to make another one and make it for Mother's Day for my mum. So I'm going to just quickly show you how the smaller shawl starts. So you start with a slip knot. Sorry, excuse me. Why that's hurting. And then you chain 4. And then you yarn over and double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, so the first chain that you made. If you are a complete beginner and you aren't yet you're not sure how to chain, you're not sure how to make a double crochet and all that stuff, then don't worry. I have got videos which go through all of the real basics, and I'll link to those in the blog post that I mentioned previously. So this is how we are going to start each of the rows, and I've called this a stacked single crochet. I'm not sure what else to call it, but you basically turn your work. You don't do any chains. You make a single crochet in the first stitch, and then you insert your hook under the left leg of the single crochet you just made, and then make another single crochet. And that's how we're going to start each row that we do for the body of the shawl. And I've got later on in this video, excuse me, a slowed down, zoomed in demonstration of how you do the stacked single crochet. So if you didn't catch it just then, don't worry, there's more later. So then after doing the initial stacked single crochet, I did an increase or 2 double crochet in the next stitch. So turning my work and starting the row with another stacked single crochet. If you're joining us late, feel free to say hello. I would love to know who is here watching other than Jen. Not that it wouldn't be a problem. Not that it would be a problem if it was just Jen here, because Jen's awesome. But okay, so I just did the stacked single crochet to start the row, and then I'm going to do a double crochet in the remaining 2 stitches. Okay, so now I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to do another increase row. So I start with the stacked single crochet. And then I think I do my increase in this next stitch. Is that what I'm doing? Yes. Okay, so I do the increase in the next stitch, and an increase is 2 double crochet in the same stitch. And then my last double crochet is just a single. And then I am only doing increases in even numbered rows, and for the odd numbered rows, I'm just going to do a double crochet in each of the stitches. So I've now got 4 double crochet in the row after I did my increase in the previous row. So now I'm going to do a double crochet in each of those 4 stitches. Okay, so this is an even numbered row, and I'm going to do an increase. So I start with my stacked single crochet. Double crochet in the next stitch. Do the increase in the next stitch. So 1, 2 double crochet in the exact same stitch. And then a single double crochet in the last stitch. And now I have 5 double crochet in the row. I'll then turn and do a double crochet or equivalent in each of those 5 stitches. So this smaller shawl is increasing at an extremely slow rate. You basically just increase by 1 stitch every 2 rows. And it produces a really nice wide triangle. So that is the smaller version. So you just keep doing rows of double crochet, and you increase in the penultimate or the last but one stitch in the row. And you only ever do that on even numbered rows. I use the locking stitch marker for when my rows get longer. It's a really useful visual cue so that I don't forget to do the increase. Now this is the bigger shawl, and this what you can hopefully see here is that for both of these shawls, on the right side is the straight edge that is produced by the fact that you don't have any increases or decreases on that side of the shawl. All of the increases and decreases happen on the left side. So as you look at your work, the right side of the shawl should be straight up, and the left side of the shawl will gradually get wider. So it's the case, it's the same method for increasing and decreasing for both shawls. It's just the rate of increase and decrease is bigger for the larger shawl. So I am going to show you a few more rows of how the larger shawl works, and hopefully give you a bit of a meditative crochet experience by watching me make these first few rows of my shawl. The other main difference between the larger and the smaller shawl is that for the larger shawl, the middle section doesn't come to a point. It's much more rounded because you work a few even rows once you get to the middle. So that's the other main difference. Okay, so I am using this yarn for my larger shawl. This isn't going to be a color block shawl. This is going to be all made, the body of the shawl is going to be all made from this yarn. So I've got 2 skeins of yarn so that I've got enough to go around. And I will be putting a border on this shawl. So you will get a demonstration later in the cowl of how the border is made. So if you are making the larger shawl, then you again start with a chain 4. just as a reminder, all of the details of the yarn that I'm using, the supplies that I'm using, the hooks I use will be in the blog post that I mentioned previously. Now, we are going to work in the second chain from the hook because we're going to start with the standing single crochet. So I insert my hook under the back bump of the second chain from the hook and make a single crochet. Then insert my hook under the left leg of the single crochet I just made and make another single crochet. In the remaining 2 chains, I work a double crochet in each. So that's double crochet number 2, and then my last double crochet there goes into the first chain that I made. So that's my foundation row of 3 double crochets. The stacked single crochet, if you haven't worked out, counts as a double crochet throughout. So then we turn our work, no chaining, and do a stacked single crochet in the first stitch. Making sure that your loops are quite nice and loose makes that second single crochet a lot easier to make, and it also ensures that your stacked single crochet reaches the right height for a double crochet. I'm then doing an increase in the next stitch, so 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and then just 1 double crochet in the last stitch of the row. And that's the end of row 2. So the third row is going to be an odd numbered row because it's row number 3. So we just do a double crochet or equivalent in each stitch of the row. So I started with the stack single, and then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 double crochet, 1 in each stitch. Row number 4 is an even numbered row, so it's an increase row. So we're going to start with the stacked single. And then a double crochet in the next stitch, actually an increase in the next 2 stitches. So that's my first increase, and then my second increase in the next stitch, and then I'm going to finish the row with a double crochet in the last stitch. Row 5 is an odd numbered row, so we are just going to do a double crochet in each of those 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. Sorry, excuse me. Yes, because we increase the larger shawl by 2 stitches for every 2 rows. So we're going to do, this is an increase row. So we start as always with our stacked single. And then double crochet until we have 4 stitches left in our row, and then we do an increase followed by a single double crochet in the next stitch, then a second increase, and we end the row with a single double crochet in the last stitch. And there we go. So that was an increase row. Now we're just going to do a row of double crochets in each stitch. So we will have increased by 2, so this will be 8 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and as the rows get wider, I find that it's handy to use a locking stitch marker and mark that 4th stitch from the end of the row, so that when I'm doing the increases, it acts as a visual cue reminding me that I need to do an increase in that stitch that I've marked. Right now it's not difficult to remember at all, but once you get up to having like 50 stitches in a row or something, then it's definitely a good reminder, because you won't be sitting staring at the pattern. This is intentionally a very, very simple pattern that you don't need to focus on what you're doing. So those visual cues will be really handy. So I am going to show you now. This is the bit that I slowed down and zoomed in for, so that you would get a really good look at the stacked single crochet, just in case you are having problems understanding exactly what that is. So there's no chains. You just insert your hook under the head of that first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both of the loops on your hook. So just a regular single crochet, you just didn't chain to start. And then you're going to insert your hook under the left leg that I pointed out with that arrow of the single crochet you just made, and work another single crochet. So there you go. It's 2 single crochet stacked on top of each other. And then we will do a double crochet in each stitch until we get to our stitch marker. Okay, so I know that I need to do an increase in that next stitch. So 2 double crochet in the next stitch. Then a single crochet in the next stitch. My second increase in the next stitch. So 1, 1, 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the last stitch. This is an odd numbered row, so we won't be doing any increasing. We'll just start it with the stacked single and then do 1 double crochet in each stitch for the rest of the row. Stopping when we get to the 4th or 5th stitch, and putting in place a locking stitch marker, which acts as our visual cue for the increases that we need to do in the next row. So one of the things that I do when I crochet, which I find makes it or helps make it a very meditative experience, is count my stitches. But I know that not everybody enjoys counting. So one thing that you can do while you crochet is to say some of the affirmations that support your intention for this mindful crochet experience. So I am open to the magic this new beginning brings. I am willing and committed to trying new things. I love using the end of a row as a mindfulness cue. So when you get to the end of a row, feel free to set your work down and take a few deep breaths and look around you and focus on the things that you can see that are new or that convey to you new beginnings. Whether it's animals, plants, little kids, new buildings, new roadworks. Try and see anything that's new and not see it with judgmental eyes, but just with the eyes of discovery and awareness of what is going on around us. I've reached the last 4 stitches in the row, and so the next stitch is going to be an increase. 1, 2 double crochet in the same stitch, and then a single double crochet in the next stitch, and my second increase in the next stitch. And then my last double crochet for the end of the row. And the next row will be an odd numbered row. So it will just be one double crochet in each stitch across. Just work a few stitches and then mark the fourth stitch from the end of the row, so that you don't forget to do your increases when you're coming back. I will mention that while I was making these videos, I had one of my sons talking to me about World War II and the Normandy landings in particular. And my other son was wanting me to sing along with a couple of his favorite songs, and is very, very focused on bubbles at the moment. So he was showing me all sorts of pictures of bubbles on his iPad. So I'm actually relatively impressed with how undistracted I seem to be while I'm working on that. Just goes to show that when you're in a mindful mindset, it certainly helps you focus. So I do not let fear prevent me from trying new things. I embrace mental discomfort. I let go of the things from my past . that create memories which no longer serve me. I am grateful to be alive in the present. I am excited by new possibilities. I embrace my inner fool. I am grateful for new beginnings. I am creative, spontaneous, am willing to take leaps of faith. I have faith in the future, and I believe in the possibilities of myself and what I can create. So that's one of my sons. His iPad is coming on screen. So I think what I will do is download this entire video and then edit out the dead air at the beginning, and then upload the edited video to YouTube. And then I will have in the description, there'll be all the links that I mentioned previously, and there'll be the blog post that I told you about. And you have got enough information now to make basically the first half of the body of your shawl. I will set up another live stream to demonstrate both the decrease half of the shawl and the border. And I am really looking forward to seeing your pictures and your comments and anything that you want to share regarding new beginnings during the month of May while we do this crochet along together. If you find yourself during your mindful crochet process getting distracted in the sense that you start overthinking, worrying about something that's coming up, planning, just anything that is thought related, anything that relates to the past, or something that is hopefully happening in the future, or even things that might not happen in the future but which you're anxious about. If you find yourself getting into that kind of thought pattern, then a really good way to refocus is to start counting your stitches, or saying some affirmations. Or also another way to get you focused on yourself is to do some deep breathing. So taking breaths into your nose and out of your nose. They don't have to be exaggerated. Just try and make them deep. Breathe into any areas in your body that are feeling tense. Drop your shoulders. Consciously relax your cheeks. Make sure your jaw is open and not clenched. Drop your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Twirl your feet if you can, so that your ankles are moving, and that you don't start to experience any stiffness. Decide that you're going to crochet standing up, or even crochet on a walk. When you reach the end of a row, it's a great reminder to check in with yourself and make sure that you're not thinking too much, but that you are actually focusing on the here and the now. So yes, that's the end of the demonstration that I had planned for today. That is all I had to share for today in terms of kicking off the crochet along. So if you have any comments, feel free to comment now with any comments or questions. If you don't have anything but think of something later, then email me or comment in the Facebook group if you're on Facebook. Feel free to comment on any of my Instagram posts about the crochet along. Anywhere that I'm mentioning this crochet along is somewhere we can interact and engage and share. So look forward to seeing what you've all got planned and what you all make. And I will be emailing out the replay of this video, which will be edited. And so if you haven't yet signed up for the crochet along and you want the email reminders and the pattern for free, then contact me and sign up. You can do that anytime during the month of May. So thanks very much to everybody who was here for the live, and I will see you somewhere on social media. Okay, take care. Bye.